Good morning, everybody. It's been kind of a quiet couple of days. I've been poking around in the shop here. It's warm. We're up to 50 degrees about. As you can see over there, we got a corner board. It stops about 2 feet shy of the top, which I can put a piece in later. Yeah, got those nailed together. And as many of you know, this type of material, if it gets wet, it swells a little. You can see this is wider than this one. So what happened was out there in that corner, the corner was swelled a little bit. And when I nailed on that trim board, of course, it opened up the very seam just a little bit. We're talking 30 thousandths or so. An aggravation, but I think paint will seal it. It's painted all the way around anyway. I painted it before I put it together, but not much going on. Electrician's coming today. This is Tuesday. He was supposed to come yesterday, and you know, he's got more than one house, and he's gonna run all this stuff here. Needless to say, when he came from his other house to this one in this town, well, his heat weren't working. And it was cold, so he didn't come yesterday. He fixed his heat. But I got a little story to tell you. Set that thing down. And I'll tell you, this, there we go. So this happened back in, I believe, 1992. For those of you that like Caterpillar dozers, see if we can adjust that a little bit. I think that might be better. I don't know. Those of you who like cats, you'll appreciate this. I was running 1150 case at the time, and that was as big as our company had. We had a pair of 1150 cases and a 450D. And I told you the story about the gas line with the 450D. But anyway, I was running 1150 this week, and I was pushing off a location, and a guy by the name of Les Leidick. He was one of the slickest dozer operators I ever see. He was good at anything he did. But just a quick backstory here. We was pushing a location off one night, and we weren't told that we were going to work all night. My dozer had no lights on it, none whatsoever. His D-8 had no lights on it whatsoever. Old cable job. So we kept pushing in the starlight. There was no moon out that night, just stars. It was a new moon. We pushed until 3, 4 in the morning. And I got down to where I could tell with the shadows. I had probably a foot windrows, where I'd make a push, and be spilling off the blade. And I really couldn't tell how up and down I was, I knew I was close. But, I was young then. I had a pretty good feel. My eyesight was better. And anyway, finally I just backed up. Couldn't do no better. It's like I got to quit till morning. So as soon as I stopped, of course, Les saw that I stopped. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "Can't see no more." He said, "At least I think mine's pretty good shape." I said, "I don't have a clue about mine." I said, "We'll know in the morning." So I wake up in the morning, and I got all these windrows down there, and his side over there looks like he done it in the daytime. I mean, the damn guy was good. That's all I got to say about it. And so anyway, they asked me to go down and push a tub ahead enough that they could get there. Now, I may be wrong on this. I don't remember in 1992. So I don't know what was John Deere's biggest bulldozer then. If it was a 750, it was the biggest one that John Deere made at the time. 750, 850. I think it was a 750 was their biggest machine. I could be wrong on that, but so don't hold me to it. But anyway, they had one, and it was so big and gummy that and they couldn't get it to back up the bank behind this tub, because this tub had 2 tubs with a pipe in it, because one of the tubs, the bottom had come out of it. So the guys drilling, they had put all the drilling pipe into one from 2 tubs, which probably pushed it up, 60,000 pounds or something. I'm not really sure. It was a lot of weight, way more than what the dozer weighed. So they couldn't get that machine in behind it because it wouldn't back up the hill. And I had a winch on back. Well, the winch makes all the difference in the world backing up on them 1150 cases. It'll back up. Jesus, you'd think it was going to fall over the blade. So I got in there and I wormed around behind it. I got the blade up against it. I don't know why I didn't twist the drive sprockets off, you know, where it bolted onto the final drives, but it didn't. I picked that blade up so it pushed the tracker into the ground. I pushed it ahead about 10, 12 feet. As soon as I got right down 100% on the level, couldn't budge it. I mean, just sat right there and spin. So I left it. I went back up a mile away, or, well, 3/4 of a mile probably, up on top of the mountain where we was working. Les had been digging the pit with a bulldozer. We weren't using an excavator then. And that was quite a thing, you know, to dig it with a bulldozer and leave a, you know, it had a divider in the middle of it. So he'd have to push steeper in hell, and then he'd have to put the blade right down and go again. Good thing, but he was good at it. He could get it done. And anyway, I was just kind of kept shoving the shit off as he pushed it out of the hole. And he'd been gone for a while, and I was still cleaning up, getting ready, because I knew that the drilling rig was coming and the pipe was coming and all that. So I turned around to leave, and you had to go uphill about probably 200 feet and then go over a hogback. But you was going over the hogback, you know, crossways to it. So it was just up and over. Geez, I went up and over, and here comes Les, about probably 300-400 feet away, which this is the stupidest part of the whole thing. So of course I couldn't get by him, so I pulled over into the trees, and I'm watching him coming. It sounded like a locomotive coming. I mean, that thing was working, and it looked like a coal-fired locomotive. Black smoke was rolling right out of it. And the front idler, well, the front idler, I guess you'd call it, was probably 8 or 10 inches off the ground. So he was just riding on the back sprockets. He had that winch sucked right up. And I had a camera in my lunchbox with me, and I was so mesmerized. Everything was perfect. It was almost dark. You could still see good. You could still see colors and everything, but it was almost dark. You know, it was getting towards twilight. Sun had set, and it was nice, you know, one of them just nice winter evenings. And old Les is coming, and that black column of smoke coming out the stack. When he got up about probably 100 feet from me, you could start to see that orange flame coming out the stack. You could see it in through the black smoke. When he went by, you know, I was pretty mesmerized by it, and why I didn't grab my camera and take a picture of it. It pissed me off. You know, after he went by, I thought, you dummy. You know, that would have been a hell of a picture, because you don't very often get a D-8 working like that hard. And yeah, she had about probably 10, 12 inches of flame coming out the top of that straight pipe. Just old dark orangish red flame coming right up into that coal, just coal black. It was pretty impressive. Anyway, he went by. I didn't realize until he got by me there and I could see good that 750 John Deere, I'm pretty sure it was 750, was pushing on the back, and he was just pushing. I mean, he had it up, his blade up against it, and he was just, you know, tracks were slipping all the time. I mean, they had about all they could do to pull that tub. It was heavy, like I said. But that was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made with the camera. I was not taking a picture of that. I'd love to have been able to take the GoPro and show you that picture. But, you know, it's here. But if you've got a good imagination, you can just imagine what it looked like. An old cable blade job, hit a cab on it. And old Les, he always looked good. You know, he always sat there with his arm on that big winch, you know. He fit that machine. He looked good in it. Yeah, it was quite a sight. He went up by there. I'd never seen a dozer work that hard in my life, and I've seen him pushing many times dirt right up over the back of the blade onto the radiator cap. I mean, it would just spill right over. And he would just worked the hell out of it, but it never smoked like that. I mean, he had that old girl lugged right down where it was just about all the motor wanted. So if they ever say they have the flame from the stack, you know, it can be done with a naturally aspirated, you know, normally fueled engine. I mean, this engine hadn't been turned up. It was just stock, but, you know, them old cats would push. And anyway, that's about all there is for that story. I just had a quick little story. I happened to think of that the other night. I don't know what made me think of it, but I thought, boy, that was an interesting thing there when that cat pulled that tub up by. A lot of stories from the oil field that was pretty bizarre, pretty different. Had a gun pulled on me twice down in West Virginia. And I'm talking once with a double barrel 12 gauge. And the other one was a high powered rifle. And I don't know which one bothered me worse. Psychologically, I think the double barrel bothers you worse because you're looking down them barrels and they look awful big when they, you know, it's funny, you know they're not much bigger than a nickel, but boy, I'll tell you what, when you're looking right down them, they look awful big. But anyway, that's another story for another day. I'm going to call it quits on this one. And if you got a good imagination, you can probably see it happening, you know. Hope you enjoyed. Don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe. I got my fire going for the electrician here. So what is it now? Yeah, it's running about 48. And Carol's going to go with the hairdressers in a little bit, so she's going to bring the dogs out here. So I got to stay out here and babysit the dogs. So I'm going to go shingling out on the back there since we got the corner boards on. But we'll do that later on. I'm always flexible, you know. I get up in the morning, I got in my head what I'm going to do that day, and then, you know, okay, dump run, I got to make a dump run. Okay, got to go, you know, she got to go to the hairdressers. It's just, as the day evolves, you know, some days I don't get crap done, other days it goes along good. But anyway, yeah, so I think that bulldozer was a 1948 or 9. Not positive of that. That's the D-8 course. My 1150, I think it was made probably like 1976 or 7 or something. Not really sure of that either. They were a pretty stout machine, light, but pretty stout machine. And it was pretty interesting. We had an oil field truck. I'll tell another little story there. After I'd been down there for a few months working for this J&M Oil and Gas, and we subcontracted to Pennzoil. So most of my work was for Pennzoil that I did for 4 years. And it was pretty interesting because we'd go to a job site with this Mack, and the Mack had a hydraulic dump bed platform. I want to say the bed was 24 or 26 feet long. It was a long platform bed. And you'd never have a place to load it. So you'd go to an oil field road that needed to be worked on. You'd sit right in the road and you'd hook the cable to it, and you'd outfeed the cable while you was picking up the body. When you got that body almost all the way up to where you could back off of it, you'd go and you'd have the dozer all running and everything was all set, and you'd clamber out, climb up onto the bed, climb onto the thing, and of course it's already starting to slide the dozer off, right? Because you've just thrown it in reverse. And you jump right onto it with it just, I mean, that winch would just barely go out if you put it in first gear. And you'd go right on up and you'd get onto it, and you'd just sit there and ride it down. And when the back sprocket hit the ground, you'd put it in gear, keep backing up, backing up. And when the front sprockets were ready to drop, you'd put the blade down on the back roll, because it had a great big roll on the back of the deck that was on roller bearings. You'd put the blade on it at an angle. Christ, that would roll you right down just as smooth as could be. And we'd load it just the opposite. You'd go in the truck, and you'd start that damn winch going up, and we'd have that damn hydraulics. Once you got started, you went and released the hydraulics, and then you started it winching, and it would winch you up on and pull the body down at the same time. And you could unload and load right on the flat of a road, and a little sketchy at times, you know. You'd had pins on the side of the bed, so if there was frost, you wouldn't slide off. But, you know, you learn to do it, and it was okay. But anyway, that's enough of this yammering. Hope you enjoyed. Talk to you next time.